I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart, and we just kind of going parabolic. It's just kind of pushing right now, back at 103.
Yeah, I see that. Your boy Jerome speaks this week, if I'm not mistaken. So, kind of anticipate why Bitcoin went back up. They
Let's
got to
see.
prop the market up.
It's all been small. It's still range. It did go back up, but it's still kind of ranging now. It hasn't really been any big major candlesticks for real. Not since that. The last real major candlestick we seen is since it broke when it hit 104.
Yeah, we got hella news this week. CPI, FOMC, federal fund rate, monetary policy statement, PMI. It's a lot going on this week.
Yeah, should be definitely a good week for the most part.
All right, man. So Charles, tell the people about the UBI. Why is it important for you to learn about crypto based off of UBI, and how is that correlating to CBDCs?
I got you. So UBI is Universal Basic Income. The idea been around for quite some time. If I'm not mistaken, I think Alaska has been doing their form of UBI for quite some time, where they just pay you just to live there. I don't necessarily know what all you have to do to qualify for UBI in Alaska because I'm not there. But for the most part, I do know that a lot of other states are implementing UBI, with one of the major ones being New York. They had an article a couple days back stating here. I think they're going to give anywhere between $300 to $500 to residents as their means of combating homelessness in their basically, I call New York its own ecosystem basically because most people who are from there never leave. So they're using that. A lot of other states are also implementing it as well. Um, like I said, I know we might have mentioned it a while back. I know Louisiana has it in Shreveport. I know Austin, Texas has it, and a few other states. But those are the two main ones that was under my concern. Like I said, I'm not sure how or what you need to benefit for it, but there are government programs that do issue that out to people. But I look at it as a onboarding ramp, basically to CBDCs, which are central bank digital currencies, and basically it's going to be programmable money in layman's terms. So for the most part, the importance of learning how to invest is to utilize these technologies that are being used to create said CBDCs. And basically, you want to be on the receiving side of it, not as a recipient of just the CBDC or UBI, but also be hands on with the companies and the technology that's behind creating said CBDCs. There are quite a few that are around in different countries. Like I said, basically the emerging markets or other countries outside of the United States and China and Russia, mainly the countries that are considered unbanked, they will be the test subjects of that. I want to say Turkey may be one. I know Singapore has its own hub. Japan is definitely going to be one for sure as a basically a hub. They're kind of light years ahead of everybody else for the most part. One that I do know for a fact is the Sand Dollar, which is in the Bahamas. They had mixed reviews on it for the most part. It's hard to find news on it, man. It's like they kind of keeping it hush hush low key because I know I heard a lot of people was revolting against it. So it's kind of hard to see what was the result about that, and you don't really hear it being talked about in our news much, obviously. And you search Google, which is already filtered to what we can search. So, anybody out there, you might just want to get on the dark web and kind of search to kind of get more insight in regards to it. But outside of just investing in Bitcoin, like I said, having altcoins, which is any coins other than Bitcoin, and learning and seeing which one of these companies actually utilize the CBDCs. A lot of them are private blockchains with a lot of these companies, so we may not be able to get in as retail investors. However, some are being used of a form of still utilizing the dollar, such as XLM and MoneyGram. They actually have an app that you can download to use, which they MoneyGram provides to their customers to use XLM to facilitate payments of USDC on their said blockchain. Of course, potentially XRP will be able to make a federation side chains for other companies to issue out a central bank digital currency as well. That's yet to be seen, at least to the public for the most part. Let me see what else. I would give a wild prediction and say maybe by 2030, I'll be conservative and say maybe 30% of the United States population will be on some type of CBDC or UBI for the most part on there. Um, I mean, that's basically it. I just, tell everybody to kind of research it so they can get ahead of the curve because we don't know how they're going to regulate it, if they're going to have it where you have 6 to 12 months to spend it or disappear, or you can only use it for food and necessities, or if it's going to be like a stimulus check. But that would kind of give you an example of what it will look like based on how the stimulus checks were deposited to us. However, they may come out with more wallets where you can download and have access to said wallet, and then you get your monthly deposit that way. That's it in a nutshell.
That's kind of that's really one of the reasons people should really like look into crypto, because it's kind of like welfare. It's something that's gonna like keep you stagnant if you don't understand how to move in the digital ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up now. They say it's been 160 UBI tests globally, according to Stanford Basic Income Lab. The largest and longest test has been going in Kenya since 2017. So if we have any viewers that's out in Kenya that's watching this, if you can kind of drop some knowledge in the comments for us and the viewers, be greatly appreciated. And of course, they mentioned Alaska as well. Theirs is annual, and it's based on the state's oil production, and their payout is anywhere between 1,000, 2,000, and then in 2022 it reached a high of $3,284. So think about an extra grand to $2,000 at the end of the year. I mean, this sounds nice in theory. If we have anybody from Alaska that actually received those, you can do the same thing like we told people from Kenya, kind of drop some information in there so we can kind of get a better insight on it. But I don't know. If I know I'm going to get some UBI, I just hope that they allow me to invest it, because that's all I'm going to put it towards, because I ain't got time.
Yeah, I'm looking at something that says, as of 2024, no country has implemented a full UBI system, but some countries have had a pilot project or partial UBI programs. For example, in June 2023, a think tank in England launched a 2-year experiment where 30 residents received monthly payments of about $2,013. But I mean, that's cool. Really not cool if you want to be self-sufficient, because
Right.
once they integrate that with CBDCs, it's going to be like under control. And that's the whole purpose of Bitcoin in the first place, to be decentralized, so major banks, central banks, can have control over it. But as this technology gets adopted by institutions, and we know how much control institutions want, they're going to be implementing these CBDCs, or let's just say institutions in different countries. I guess it just depends on where you live at.
I just found a PDF too. It has all the chart data on it as well with the pilots. That's crazy. Yeah, so it still lists the same countries that we were just talking about for pilots. Yeah, people, get your ass in the lab, learn something. Because if not, I'll ship you to the metaverse.
I mean, in other news, seems like the Fed wants to cut rates, so that's pretty good. For anybody don't know what happens when rates get cut, it just lowers the finance costs for people to borrow money. So as the federal fund rate goes down, then the bank interest rates goes down, and it's easier for people to borrow money. So this is not financial advice, but if you have a decent credit score, you have some collateral that you can put up, go get you some money and put it in the market and get you some assets that are, especially some crypto assets that are going to appreciate in the next 6 to 8 months. And you could be sitting pretty, looking good.
Right.
I think with the CB, it's so hard to tell, man. With CBDCs, like I think how I really feel about it, because kind of like you were saying, man, it could be beneficial to people. Because if you think about like how long it took, if you think about how long it took the government to get something to get people stimulus checks, if they had CBDCs, that wouldn't really be an issue. You wouldn't have to wait for a stimulus check. They could just issue people money in the event of something like that, and it will go directly to you, like on a positive note. But then obviously, like you mentioned, bro, the negative note is just like the security issues of people who don't necessarily need this money, need to have their money on CBDCs. Like, you know, if you're taking money from universal basic income, then like it kind of just, I don't want to say like it's not like you deserve to be on CBDC, but like if you taking money, you getting money from the government, so you really shouldn't have a choice at the end of the day. But my only worry would be like that CBDCs companies start paying people in CBDC, right? Like that would be where then I would probably have an issue with that. But like if it's just I don't think that's like I don't think that's unfair if the government's, you know, if that's how the government's helping you out already or giving you aid to do it through CBDCs. I would just hate to see CBDCs pick up momentum from that, which is how they would do it. That's how they're going to enter the market, like you said, using UBIs. And the reason why I just say the security thing is because, like, he mentioned it's programmable money. So they could basically write whatever code into that money that they want to have it be to where the government could literally say your tokens, your money is not valid, or you can't use it here, you can't use it there, which is pretty similar to how they already have some of their current aid packages. But obviously, if that just went into how everybody uses their currency and it not being aid, that would be a major issue. So you know, I think, like I said, UBIs for CBDCs, I'm cool with that, and that's just the only lane that I think that needs to stay in is just giving aid to people that need government aid. But it could just be an issue if it does get into regular payments for like people who aren't receiving any government aid.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We'll see how it turns out. As you guys can see, we're not too enthused about UBI and CBDCs. So that could kind of tell you from our tones that it's one of those things that's going to happen regardless. So try to make the best of the situation. That's all we can say. Yeah, programmable money, smart contracts. Definitely learn about DeFi and how Ethereum will be utilized to kind of become the basic building blocks of what we're going to see in the next couple years with smart tech, the Internet of Things, some DePIN projects outside of just smart contracts. I know I know I told you, Brendan, last episode about Space Chain, and basically
Mm-hmm.
they got payment nodes out in those satellites that's basically going to be used to keep all our transaction history, validate transactions in the sky, in space, which will basically be a security measure, or at least how they're marketing, that it's not susceptible to cyber attacks and hacks on a terrestrial plane. So basically, can't no human being tamper with any of the transactions on the blockchain. And right now, Space Chain is only available on the Ethereum network, and the gas fees are atrocious, just about like $14, $15 worth of Space Chain, man, is gonna range about $23 in gas fees. So I would say, if you got the capital, for that, make one big purchase. If you do, not financial advice. Of course, research it. But I do think they have some ties in with Elon Musk with SpaceX, also with Jeff Bezos dealing with space exploration. I think we're going to be seeing that a lot in the next coming years as we kind of make a shift from traditional money to more digital money in this space. They have another token, I think, called Space Coin as well. They're doing something similar. So a lot of these space coins are very undervalued right now because we're still in the early adoption. Right now, we're still in the AI narrative for now. So I wouldn't be surprised if next cycle we start talking about more space tokens and space exploration and new technology breakthroughs like Google just did with the chip. I think you shared that in the other group, Jay. Willow and the smart chips and the computers and stuff like that with quantum computing. So, what a time to be alive!
Was that Google or was that Microsoft?
No, it was. I thought it was Google with Willow.
It's Google. Yeah. Yeah, that's that chip, man. It's crazy to like even fathom
Right?
because just 10 years ago we didn't have no kind of technology like that could rival that. And you telling me what is this? What does it say? It can do computations in 5 minutes that would take 10. What is it? What was it?
That was like 100 years or something, or maybe that was cracking Bitcoin or something like that.
Quintillion,
Yeah,
something like that.
some
Yeah,
stupid ass number.
crazy. Yeah, so they just pairing them chips with those quantum computers. I don't know if y'all seen it's a company called D Wave. D Wave Quantum Computers.
Put it down.
Let's see, I don't know if they just IPO'd.
Yup, $5 a share.
Man, I was just looking at it. It was just like $3 today.
Yeah,
It jumped crazy quick.
I need to find an index for just those type, because trying to pick each one. I mean, yeah, they have its upside, but me and stock picks, like I said, ain't the best at because things change as the space evolves. So if I just had more exposure to it, I guess through an index would be more of my alley. But yeah, they just IPO. Yeah,
Yeah, it's something to watch out for, especially with that chip saying they can break cryptography, and that's the
I saw
security
that.
that's built around crypto wallets. You say, oh, it's not hackable, but hey,
right.
man, that AI, they keep on making those chips. Cybersecurity in the next 10, 20 years is gonna be the space to be in. If you want to make a
Facts.
lot of money.
Cybersecurity is already one of the. I mean, really anything tech right now, bro, is crazy for money.
Yeah,
Software. I mean, really. I mean, software engineers, because they're the people that have to design the software for that.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I mean, but the thing that's, I think honestly that I saw that article too that it said it could be used to break crypt,
cryptography. Yeah, yeah,
cryptography.
yeah.
But I mean, in the same token, though, man, couldn't you just use the same computing to make more sophisticated cryptography? So like it just that article just seemed a little like
Yeah.
scare tactic ish to me because you could use that same computing power. I feel like to create stronger cryptography from what I would assume. I don't know because I don't really know how cryptography works. So it might work a way that you can't do that. Maybe it's just like how cryptography work is regardless of your computing power, it is what it is. But most stuff tech wise doesn't really work like that. Typically, if you have more computing power, you could create more sophisticated code, which would result in more sophisticated cryptography too. So, right, I'm just kind of guessing here because I don't know. I'm not a cryptologist or whatever you want to call it. I haven't really done research. I haven't done research into that area, but I would think that you could develop more sophisticated code, harder puzzles to solve that would make it harder to hack. But at the end of the day, yeah, computing it's been crazy, man. If you think about our lifetime, how much
Right.
that space has just basically evolved from like basically from the moment the first like iPhone came out to like now, bro. It's been crazy, man. Like that 20-year span has been crazy of
Right.
how fast technology has developed.
Right.
Here it is. It says Willow performed a standard benchmark computation in under 5 minutes that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers, 10 septillion, that is 10 to the 25th power years, a number that vastly
Real
exceeds
quick,
the
real
age of the
quick.
universe. It's crazy, bro. What I'm reading here, it says Willow performed a standard benchmark computation in under 5 minutes that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers, 10 septillion, that is 10 to the 25th power years, a number that vastly exceeds the age of the universe. But reading that, I'm like, okay, how do you even, first of all, how do you even know the age of the universe? Like, it's just I don't know, man. It sounds good. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but me personally, I feel like they should slow down. Elon Musk said they should slow down, even though he's quote unquote still pushing the stuff. What was the guy in the wheelchair?
Stephen Hawking's.
Stephen Hawking said they should slow down because I just feel like it's gonna be to a point where they're not gonna be able to control AI because AI is the one who's making these chips, and they can just keep making more. They just keep prompting AI. It's just gonna keep getting smarter based off the data is fed. So I mean, it could be good, I guess, for things to run a lot faster, but then it could be bad too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Skynet.
Man, that's not.
Right.
I mean, that's not gonna happen. I mean, that won't happen though, bro. It won't. I mean, you feel me? It won't. It's not gonna slow down. That just won't happen, bro.
Nah. Yeah. Shareholders got to get paid. They want the best of the best.
That's
Not
true.
even the shareholders, bro. Whatever country can make the strongest, whatever country's able to make like the strongest quantum computing or something like that right now, bro. They're gonna have a whole lot of power, bro. It's basically the same thing as the space race, bro. It's not really any different, right? Like that was a really big moment in history. Like whatever country, like if we weren't to win the space race, history just wouldn't be the same. So it's like the same thing here. It's a new frontier is basically what this is, right?
Right.
So whenever you get into like a new age of anything, if you're wanting your country to be relevant, you have to be the country to you feel me be ahead of the curve. So that's kind of like why it just is what it is with this stuff, man. Like it's definitely not gonna slow down anytime soon. People trying to develop the best AI stuff like that.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It's kind of like this book I have right here. Book right here. It's called "The Future is Faster Than You Think." So I think I bought this book back in like 2021 or something like that. But it was already like kind of like predicting a lot of this stuff. I'll read a little piece. It says, and we're in 2024 obviously, but it says in 2023, in 2023, the average $1,000 laptop will have the same computing power as the human brain, roughly 10 to the 16 power cycles per second. 25 years after that, the same average laptop will have the power of all the human brains currently on Earth. That's a lot of computing power, bro.
That's true.
When you get to that point,
Oh, what?
I think you've lost control.
Yo. Okay. So, you know how you just talked about D-Wave, right? I just
Yeah,
logged
I've
into
been
my
knowing about that for a
Fidelity,
minute too.
right? I just logged into my Fidelity account. I was like, I know what? I said, this sounds familiar. So I just logged in. I
Yeah,
forgot I had bought some shares of it when it was $1.
oh, man,
But snap.
4X.
Hey, bro. Dang, it's a
Yeah, bro,
small.
that's gonna be one of the ones, man. And like, I hate to like touch on like conspiracy theories, man, but like when I like start learning about quantum computers and AI and all of this stuff, man, like I really looked into D Wave. Actually found a couple videos about it on YouTube, but I
Yeah.
don't want to go down the rabbit hole saying what I found or what I think about it. But it's some crazy stuff. It's definitely some crazy technology.
Hey,
Yeah, let's just say it had to do with along the lines of portals.
Stargate.
If you believe in that kind of thing.
Make him a believer. Like Gates say. Damn, I should have bought some more of this. I'm sorry, I got happy as hell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Well, the future is exciting but scary.
It's that's definitely undervalued. That's crazy. They launched it 2 years ago on my birthday. That's crazy. It's definitely undervalued. So it's not financial advice, but if anybody wants to go check it out, the ticker is QBTS. That's D Wave Quantum Inc. Sitting at $5 right now. And these are the things that they're gonna be using to power a lot of this crypto technology. So for the people that's watching, go check that out.
Well, I feel like Christmas came early when I opened up this account. Hey,
I'm reading.
just kind of a short thing, real quick. I just want to give a shout out to all of our viewers who have been watching us. We do appreciate you guys and girls who've been tuning in faithfully, having patience with us as we navigate this space, trying to bring you guys some value as well as learn from each other as well. So just want to give a shout out to the viewers, man, real quick. But I'm sorry, you can go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, just reading this article on Yahoo Finance, says D-Wave Quantum Inc. announced the successful completion of $175 million in gross proceeds from its at-the-market equity offering programs. It says this funding strengthens the company's financial position, allowing it to enhance its technical development efforts and execute in its product and go-to-market strategies, thus positioning D-Wave for future growth and impact in the commercial adoption of quantum computing. So that particular stock has a lot of room to grow. So
We'll be buying more.
go grab a bag, not financial advice.
Go borrow against some crypto right now. I just ran in my journal. I found out why. Well, I have a theory on why Microsoft chose not to put Bitcoin on their books. I mentioned it to you guys earlier about the FASB, which is basically an acronym for the Financial Accounting Standards Board, and basically they initially, when they had the rules for Bitcoin, you had to report it as a loss based off of the lowest price of the asset at the time, and you couldn't report it as the current fair market value. So that rule changed last year, but it goes into effect this month. So I think today is the day where it actually goes into effect now. So companies like Tesla and MicroStrategy now can report their Bitcoin as their current market value versus the lowest price that they purchased it at. And what that does is that opens up doors for institutions, as well as small business owners and business owners, to now be able to put Bitcoin on their books. And that also opens up the door with them lending those assets out, because now it's considered a hard asset, similar to stocks and bonds now, since they're able to put that on there. It also would reduce market volatility. We have yet to see that yet, but like I said, it's Q4 right now. So I'm anticipating next year for sure a lot of these institutions will start putting Bitcoin in their on their books, especially for the revert that they're building up. Because I know Texas just passed a bill or created a bill to have their own Bitcoin reserve, and they've been pro crypto the whole time, especially out in Austin, Texas. So it's not surprising to see Texas in the forefront in regards to adopting a Bitcoin reserve for the state itself, and I'm sure we're going to see other companies take suit right after that, especially with Trump in office now and talking about the United States having its own Bitcoin reserve, which I think they're going to use that to offset our current national debt, because at the rate of inflation constantly goes up, somebody got to pay that debt back. And I think what they're going to do is basically tie it into Bitcoin in some form of fashion to keep us in power still, as a or at least keep the dollar in power as far as trading and just the deal of money in general go. So I can see why a couple episodes back when Brandon mentioned that you don't see China basically taking over, and now it came back full circle in regards to that. So I think we're going to be in power, just kind of step back as we get our ducks in a row. But for the most part, this definitely opens up a lot of opportunities for a lot of people, and definitely is an incentive for adoption across the board, with not just institutions, business owners, small business owners, but retail investors like ourselves kind of get more clear regulations in regards to that. So definitely a step forward in the right direction to let those know who's still on the sidelines know that Bitcoin ain't going anywhere by a long shot, at least into 2150. Like I said, we probably be robots by then. So who knows? But just wanted to share that tidbit with people who wants to get in. Definitely, this is the time now, and remember that you don't have to buy a full Bitcoin right now. We know $103,000 is pretty steep for the most average person. So dollar cost average, or as Brandon will tell you in past episodes, kind of wait, study the markets, look for an opportune time to purchase some Bitcoin on a pullback. But overall, just have a strategy as far as accumulating Bitcoin, and don't look at Bitcoin as making you rich, but look at it more of a saving your your wealth in terms of Bitcoin because it is an appreciated asset and it's an international value and global asset overall with a lot of other countries as well. So definitely get a piece of that pie before we go up to $1 million Bitcoin and just kind of focus on yourself really. Stop comparing yourself to people who got in Bitcoin at 60,000 because they compare themselves to people who got in Bitcoin at $1,000 and those people who got in Bitcoin at $200 and the people who got in at 10 cents, you know. So it's an ego thing. So just kind of take your ego out when you're investing and understand that you know wherever you start is where you're starting. The hardest part is starting. And once you do that, just treat it like a video game, and just kind of set things in motion, like I said, with a strategy to basically accumulate as much as you can, you know, in a time span that's more realistic to your goals. So just, you know, just start. That's all I'm saying. Just get out there and start, learn what you can, listen to the podcast, read books. It's a ton of information out here on the internet so you can cross reference. So there's no right or wrong way of investing. Just understand, just starting.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like right along the lines of kind of what I was like really I think hitting at like in our first episode of just like stressing the importance of just no matter how much money you have, whether it's $5, $1, $2, is just practicing the behavior of investing. Because like once again, no matter who you are, if you're like an ambitious person, you're doing the right thing and you working to better yourself, you're gonna eventually come into a better position than you in now, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, like you'll come into more money. It's just how discipline, hard work, and dedication works. So if you don't practice investing, you could come into $1 million, but if you haven't been managing your money the right way, it doesn't matter what money you come into, you're not gonna know how to manage it. It's the same thing. It's the same story that you see all the time with people who win the lottery, right? Like most people who win the lottery do not change their lives. Like they momentarily change their lifestyle and they run out of that money because they don't know how to manage money. So just getting into the behavior of investing will change your mindset. It will change how you view your money. And when you change how you view your money, you start behaving different and doing different things. So if you invest in, even if it's only $5 a week, every week, maybe you might start reading a few more articles about investing now because now you putting some money away, so you start changing all your behaviors, your lifestyle starts to change. Oh well, I'm gonna read this article, I'm gonna read that, I'm gonna talk to this person about investing. So slowly but surely, little by little, it starts to impact you and the rest of your life. So yeah, I definitely am really big on that. And then also I'm really big on what Charles said about like just not really paying attention to whatever anybody else is doing, right? Like, for me, like, right now, I've seen a lot of coins run up. I've seen XRP run up, I've seen Telcoin run up, but like at the end of the day, I have my strategy, I have my plan, and I'm cool with my gains. Right, and you have to know why you're doing it and what you're doing, and you can't let something else like sway you off your plan. You just kind of got to know, you know what I'm saying, what you're focused on, and don't feel like you're missing out, right? Because if you took your time to put your plan together and you stay true to your plan, you're going to get to where you're going to get to. You just can't really focus on the time frame because like that mindset of trying to chase the next big win is not the correct mindset of how you really going to build up the money that you need to change your life. Because as fast as quick money come in is as fast as quick money leaves the door, right? So yeah, it's cool making quick money, but it's just as easy to lose quick money that you took your time to build up, and it took time to get there, typically doesn't leave as fast as quick money does. Right, it's definitely just also kind of getting rid of that mindset of like, man, I gotta get rich quick, I gotta do this, because like that's cool, but it's better to really build something that's sustainable. It's better to build something that you built over time, because typically just something that's built over time versus something that's built in one day, this whatever is built over time is just gonna last longer, right? These are just like not really investing, these are really rules of life, because investing, funny enough, is really just like how you kind of go about and live your life. It'll really teach you a thing or two about psychology. It'll teach you a thing or two about yourself emotionally. You feel me? Like the way that you act emotionally and your maturity level emotionally will 100% reflect in how you invest your money. So yeah, it's definitely a big, deep conversation. I don't really want to, but yeah, he touched on some real big, important things that I think for beginning investors, it's just really important to kind of think about those things because, it'll change how you invest. And then also the bigger picture, it'll change your life too.
Yep, that's facts. I agree with everything you said. I watched Warren Buffett, and he said if you're gonna hold any asset, and if you're not willing to hold it for 10 years, don't even hold it because it's like Brandon said. It's like it's really the action of investing. So, like you said, $1, $5, $10, 25, 50, 100, whatever you can put in over time. It's step by step, brick by brick. It's a journey. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And I had to learn that on my journey as well. Just accumulating. Not looking over my shoulder, looking in front of me of who's doing X, Y, and Z and where they're at. Nah, just run your own race, man. You'll get there. I think a book that I would recommend people read is Atomic Habits. It's kind of go back to what Brandon was saying. It's not about you can set as many goals as you want to, but if you're not doing the behaviors or having those habits to get to those said goals, you'll never get there. You'll never get there.
Yeah, that book's a real good. I read that book. That book's, I
Yeah.
ain't gonna lie, that book's, it's a hard read.
Well, make
I didn't
yourself reflect, bro.
Yeah, it's a hard
Yeah.
read, and honestly, it's a hard read. It's kind of a boring read too. Like I was not like super enthusiastic about the book. Like they present the information in kind of a really boring way, but at the end of the day, the information is like really good. And like Jay said, it just teaches you a lot about learning how to create change in your life. It's just an extension of what they talk about in the book. It talks about how as people you tie basically to create change in your life, you have to create a change in your identity. That's a big piece of how they talk about creating change in your life. So basically, they were saying like typically you'll see somebody who maybe wants to stop quitting smoking and they'll count the days that they smoke or they haven't smoked for this long, I haven't smoked, versus somebody who just says I'm not a smoker anymore, it's just not me. So it's not like they're just trying to change the behavior, they're changing how they identify themselves to themselves. So they are identifying themselves as a completely different person. And when you identify yourself as a completely different person, that person just by default doesn't do those things. If you're not a smoker anymore, by default, of course, you don't smoke because it's just not who you identify as anymore. So that was another big thing in the book that they talk about uh, is how do you identify yourself, like within yourself, and how do you view your own personal identity. Honestly, my recommendation would be like maybe check out the book, but I would probably just, if you can't read the book, because honestly I really struggled to read that book, and I don't want to say I'm a like not a big reader, but I read a book every couple of months. If you don't read a lot, that's going to be a tough read. And if you look at it and it's a tough read, honestly, just hop on like Google, hop on like Chat GPT, and just say, give me a summary of all the main points of Atomic Habits. And you'll have what you need to like put something into plan. Is it going to give you all like you need to maybe really make the change? No, because like of course the book's going to be better, but it's still going to give you at least a starting point if you can't read the book. So yeah, I would definitely, it's a good book with a lot of good information.
See, I actually listened to the audio version on YouTube, and
It's
then
better.
I actually it was another video that I watched. It's kind of like a breakdown. It's kind of like one of those whiteboard videos where they explain stuff to you. It's kind of like that. So you can go on YouTube and check that out.
Facts.
Yeah, it's like man, so some books are just long books. And I need the meat and potatoes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let me see what can I utilize. What is the main point of this?
And one more thing, man, just like, and and honestly, when I really think back, and I talked about this a little bit before, but when I think back to when I first started investing, well, consistently, because I first started investing in Maryland, and then I had to sell all my investments because I just hit tough times. But after that, I was working at Wendy's. And I was only putting in. I was really putting in $10. I was putting in $10 a week when I first started investing, and honestly, I really felt like I was wasting my time. Like no bullshit. I was like, bro, I'm literally only putting in $10 a week. This is going nowhere. I'm wasting my time. I'm looking at my account. I'm like, bro, $10, 10. I'm like, this ain't going anywhere. Like, it's not doing anything. And then basically fast forward, you know what I'm saying, a year later, like, yeah, I'm still working at Wendy's, but boom, a year later, now I'm picking up OT at Wendy's. So now I'm making an extra whatever. So now that $10 changed to $20. And because I was already doing it, I'm like, because I've already been doing it with the little money I got, when I make extra money, instead of thinking, oh man, I'm gonna use this money to go out to eat. I'm gonna use this
Right.
money to go buy some clothes. I thought, oh man, I'm gonna use this money. I'm gonna take some of this new money and put it in my investments. So that's where the practicing actually comes into real life. And that's how you actually see it play out. It's literally just like that. Because if you've been doing it every week, when you come into that new money, the thoughts gonna actually pop up in your head. But if you ain't been investing, it don't matter how much money you come into. If you ain't been doing it, the thoughts just not gonna pop up in your head.
Facts.
Agreed.
I have something, man. I have a. It's not an article actually touching on something Charles was saying about Texas. So I think it's by next year. Texas is trying to get a Texas stock exchange.
But yeah,
So
I haven't read into this. I saw it, but I haven't really read into this. I don't know too much about it.
Wikipedia is not just like your best source. I'm just gonna read like this little piece. It says the Texas Stock Exchange is a planned stock exchange that will be headquartered in downtown Dallas, Texas. The group behind the exchange, led by Texas or TXSE CEO James Lee, is financed primarily by BlackRock and Citadel Securities. For anybody to know who BlackRock and Citadel are, go do some research on those guys. They have a lot of money. So once this does come down the pipeline, there's going to be a lot of money flowing through Texas. Like there's already a lot of money flowing through Texas. Another thing, the city of Fort Worth, they already started mining Bitcoin back in 2022. So if anybody want to go do any research on that, they've been mining Bitcoin for about 2 years now. So it's for a lot of people that don't, let's just say, not understand crypto but don't think it's an actual thing or think it actually matters, why would the city of Fort Worth start mining Bitcoin? It has to be some kind of value there. So just wanted to put that in people's ears.
And BlackRock, BlackRock is just the biggest investment. It's the biggest investment firm. Period. Point blank. That's what BlackRock is. So y'all can look into it too. But that's who they are.
they own
Sir,
everything.
right now Texas, I don't know if it's just Texas, maybe other states, but they're kind of in court with BlackRock because they're trying to get some of their assets back, like land, i.e. property, things like that. Because if they don't, it's going to be a lot of people living in tiny homes because they can't get any land, or you know what I'm saying, or any, let's just say, any properties, because BlackRock has a large percentage control of a lot of those properties, those real estate investment trusts, things like that. So,
You know what, bro? I don't think that's gonna happen though, because because at the end of the day, that's to the bigger issue of which is what we're seeing across real estate as a whole, whether it's businesses or landlords, right? Like it's a lot of commercial. The percentage of commercial ownership in real estate compared to what it used to be has just increased so much, and I don't really know if that's something that's if they will reverse that, only because like that would definitely set a precedent as a whole that I don't know if that's a precedent that they want to set. It's something that probably needs to happen though, because like realistically, you know what I'm saying, like home ownership is just gonna almost be, I don't want to say it's gonna be impossible soon, but like the way the way it's going, yeah, it's getting crazy out here to
you wanna,
actually like own a
man,
home.
then I don't feel like they finna give them homes back up, bro. That property, no,
No,
like
Nah,
at all. They making too much money.
they're gonna
They
tokenize it.
say they used to say American dream, everybody can get a job and that'll afford you a house and da 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 da. Fast forward to 2024, damn near can't get a bite off a man's hamburger, man. It's crazy out here, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the average American citizen don't even have $1,000 in savings. So how in the hell they gonna afford a $200,000 house. That's just on surface level. That's a okay house, you know. Hey, all money in, like Nipsey said, huh?
I do think we might have an opportunity though, that's gonna come up maybe in the next couple of years with hyper deflation, where everything's been going up so much to the point where it reversed, and we might see, I won't say a flash crash, but something where the housing market takes a hit, making homes affordable, but in a small window. Because now they're coming out with different products now to help people get into these loans. I think they switched up now. I know FHA gives first time homeowners, but they have some new product now where it's easy for people to buy commercial real estate as well, because a lot of those shopping centers are sitting just dormant. And I think they're going to start converting those into like apartment complexes. Certain places are doing that now, but I think that's what's going to eventually happen to, at least in Monroe, with the current mall. Because every time you look up, man, more and more stores are leaving. And I know out in Louisville, out in Texas, their mall is damn near a ghost town in there. So I can see them later on down the line, maybe 10 to 15 years from now, converting that whole out the shopping center, not shopping center, I'm sorry, that mall into housing and apartments, which kind of gives me an idea of like of a modern citadel where everything you can need is in that location. You don't have to leave your home really to go out anywhere. I mean, on the first two floors, you got shopping, dining, stuff like that. And then in the upper floors, you got housing. So I know they put a lot of this stuff in the movies, but that kind of gives you an idea of what we're going towards. Like I said, we may be around to see that. We might be robots from now. We don't know, but we know that it is possible. That is something that they are striving for. And like to what you're saying now, getting a home is very hard now, but they're trying to make it affordable, but in the same time, our income is not reflecting that. So I think next year we're going to start hearing a lot of these cutbacks. And I know I mentioned job layoffs, and you said that already happened, which it has, but I think it's going to accelerate as we go further into next year with inflation continuing to go up. And with the introduction of AI, they're going to basically say, hey, let's cut the work week down to 4 days a week versus 5 days. And they're going to dress it up like, hey, you get more of your time back. Now, how that's going to change pay wise, that part I don't know. And that's why I say we encourage our viewers to learn how to invest to supplement that income, because we don't know if you're going to suffer a loss, or if they're going to actually say, okay, well, we're going to pay you a little bit more, but we also know that that pay increase is not going to be enough to counteract inflation that's going on right now in today's economy. But that's just my prediction and speculation on it.
I think a couple of things. So even if we do see that deflation, the whole thing is like the issue isn't the issue. So you have to, the issue, actual problem isn't the pricing of housing. It's how did we get to the pricing of housing? And we got to that point because there's such a large commercial ownership of houses. It's not just the prices of the houses are going up, it's who owns the houses. That's the problem. So when these conglomerates like BlackRock and all these other places are buying up houses, they're not ever selling them. They're just holding them. So that's the issue. So even if we do see that, then it's just going to exasperate the issue even more, because BlackRock is going to start buying up more and more and more property, right? Like, so that's not going to fix the issue. It might make a momentary release for people to like have to rush and run into the market and try to snatch stuff up before some of these corporations do, but that's not going to fix the issue. Like, the bigger issue is like there has to be some regulations for companies, like what Texas is basically trying to do. Because like the next step in what they probably would do is put some regulations on like either the amount of residential houses they can own, how long they can hold them for, or even the ones that they can have access to. That would probably be the next step, like in Texas. And if something like that doesn't come into place, then 100% like owning a house is not going to be a thing anymore. And honestly, that just might be what could happen, bro. It could very well turn into like a world where people, or in the US, where people just end up renting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like shouldn't be a surprise. Like, we know land is a finite asset, so it's, you know what I'm saying. So we know eventually it will get to that point, as long as we stay here, where like buying land won't be a thing. And then on the what would you, I forgot, bro. I was supposed to write it down. What was the second, what was the second thing you said after the deflation?
The layoffs and the 4-day work week.
Before they, so I don't think that's gonna happen either, bro. Not with the big companies. Like, big companies are against, they're 100% against that. I mean, they're against like common sense things. Like, for example, when you look at like even when you look at things like Amazon forcing their workers to go back into office, which is crazy, because like it's proven that people have been just as efficient working from home as they have been working in the office. But they're still requiring their employees to return, and a lot of major companies that did have people remote during COVID have done the same thing. And in terms of like logically, does it make sense? No, it doesn't logically like make sense. But they're just they just aren't going to allow that. So I don't see where they're gonna switch down to a 4-day work week like that. I don't really see how why they would do that, how they would do that. It just doesn't make sense from a big corporation or big company perspective. It's just, that seems like, I know they're doing it in other places, like in other countries, but that's like, to me, not like what they would ever do in America, because America is a capitalist, right? Capitalist society.
Right,
So
right,
the most capitalist society. So that's like kind of I don't want to say it's uncapitalistic, but like that's not really an American thing. That's almost like a country where they prioritize more about, like, you know what I'm saying, health and all that other stuff. Whereas
right.
America is just like,
It's the opposite.
we working you
Right, right,
exactly.
right. So yeah. So
They
to
gonna
your
work the
point,
dog shit
right,
out you.
to the right. So to your point, right now it doesn't look like that. But the whole guys is okay. You have to come back into office, and if not, what happens? They fire your ass, right? And then you have the introduction of AI, and with the acceleration of AI learning so much, they're going to be able to keep these places. Let's just say fast food restaurants, right? They already got a few that's in Texas, the fast food restaurant. There's only like two people in there, just enough to make sure the machine is working, and maybe like another engineer or something like that, right? They're going to get to that point where they're going to start small and say, okay, well, I see that we can create a AI, a robot to sit here and flip burgers and fries, and we don't have to pay it anything for a fraction of the cost of us actually having someone there. So once these companies realize how much money they get to keep in their pockets and still make more money by being available 24 hours now, and people with money is going to always, I mean, if it's 24/7, you're leaving the club, you're hungry, you don't want to go to Waffle House, McDonald's not an option, but they got this other restaurant and it's open 24/7. All it takes is for one or two other companies to start that and start a chain reaction of that. And because we're a capitalist country, they're going to see the opportunity in that, and they're going to change their tune, just like they changed it with Bitcoin. That's all I'm saying.
Facts. Robots don't need breaks.
At
Robots
all.
don't need off days. They don't need sick
Sick
days.
days. They
It's
pay
just like
nothing.
you at a job, they paying you 50K, but they can go get an AI robot that's 10K. Why would they not save 40K when all they gotta do is change the plugs on the robot every other month or whatever the case may be, put another chip in there,
Right.
etc. Whatever the case may be. So I think that 4-day work week will be implemented. I'm not sure how long or if they'll do it forever, but I think it's kind of like gearing people up so they can get used to
Like a stepping
not
stone.
working.
Right, right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Oh yeah, we only got to go in. You find out, especially you work at a job where you working hella hours. You find out, well, all I got to do is go in for 4 days. Okay, well you might be getting the same pay, but the day that you're not working, that's when they're bringing in the robots to test things, and then 5, 10 years later, you find out, well, we having these layoffs, X, Y, and Z. You've been replaced by this AI, or
Right,
this chip
right.
can do this job in this amount of time. So we really don't need you. So here's your last check, and uh,
Right,
go
right.
kick rocks.
Right. And then that's where the UBI and the CBDCs go into hand, because
Exactly.
as we move from a capitalist society more into a health conscious focus society because now people have nothing but time on their hands. And like I said, it's not going to happen tomorrow in the next 2 years, but I do see that's going to become more of a shift now as we progress further because now it's like, okay, I got this time on my hands. What am I going to do now? Not everybody's built to be a business owner. We have worker bees.
Well, I don't think America's gonna ever shift into that. I mean, just personally, I don't think America's ever gonna shift into a country that prioritizes that because that's just not what makes America America. I mean, period, point blank. Right? Like, I mean, that's been that's kind of been something in general that America's just typically hasn't really been about. It doesn't matter if people have more time on their hands or not. I mean, the powers that be, the powers that be just won't, that won't be a thing. Because, I mean, basically the way it works here is like in America, it's not that we have it's not per se that we actually have like the worst healthcare system because at the end of the day, if you have money and you pay for private health insurance, you can get great healthcare coverage in America, but most people don't have access to that. Most people don't pay for their own insurance. Most people just get what their employer provides for them. And what your employer typically provides for you is not good. So the standard, and this is basically how everything goes in America, the standard or the floor of what you can get here is not high, but the ceiling for what you can get in America is a lot higher than in other places, right? Like that's typically how it goes with America in general. And that's why you see the biggest corporations in the world in America. So basically to say to if they were to change the fact of like, oh yeah, like now we're focusing on this, on this, on this, well then like that would change the whole building blocks of the society that America is as a whole. And I don't think that that would happen, right? Like, I mean, I don't think we'll see a change. I mean, I think it's basically live or die by capitalism, bro. Like, I mean, if I'm being real with you.
And I understand that. I guess for me, just looking at it is the fact that with the changes and everything and the rapid growth of just AI in general, man, I think every couple 100 years we get a big shift in the way that America operates. Underlying, we got capitalism in our veins, in the blood. But now instead of having everybody be a slave, now we got robots. We ain't got to worry about, like Jay said, sick days, time off, anything like that. So think the only reason they will switch to that is because one, they get to make more money. Two, they get to save money. Three, they're greedy. And if I can pay somebody
That's the
10K,
American way.
right, if I can pay somebody 10K or something 10K to do the roles of four other people that I'm paying 50K to, why not take that?
I
Well,
think I
nah,
go
I
ahead.
agree. I agree with that, but what I'm saying is, what makes you think any of that money is gonna funnel into? What makes you think any of that money is gonna funnel into people getting better health care?
No, I didn't say it's going to get better health care. I just said that in general, people are going to be focused more on their health in general because they're going to have so much time on their hands, and they're
How are
going
they
But
gonna
that
be able? How are they gonna be able to focus on their health if they're broke? They're not gonna be able to afford any of the stuff.
CBDCs.
to.
But they're not gonna give you enough money in the
Right.
CB.
So that's
Well, they're
going to
just gonna give you just enough.
right.
Not to focus on your health. What they're doing with UBI is no different than what they do than what they already do with food stamps and stuff. They give you what you need to survive, but they're not going to give you what you need to build and live a healthy, prosperous, good lifestyle. Like, that's not how this is going to
Yeah,
that's
I
not
don't
how
think
this is
that's
going
what
to
he's
play out.
saying. I think it's more of,
From a
well,
holistic,
hey,
yeah.
I'm getting CBDCs. I don't have to go to work. Just imagine if right now that you had the money that you have coming in from your job, but you don't have to go to your job.
You're thinking about it.
There will be many other things that you will be able to focus on.
You're thinking about it the wrong way. You can do that now because you can already not work and get on welfare. You're thinking about this the wrong way. You can do that exact same thing now. You cannot work and get on welfare. I don't know where we're getting this correlation that UBI is going to give people a good standard of living if what we already have in place is for less people, and it doesn't give you a good standard of living. That doesn't make sense. We already have a system in place to pay people money when they are not working to help them prop themselves up right now, that you have to apply and get. And if universal basic income is supposed to be for everyone, what makes you think it's going to be more money or a better standard of living than welfare is? It's not. It's going to be the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just packaged up differently. It's no different.
Well, I was
Except
speaking,
with welfare.
yeah, I was just speaking in terms of people taking more of a holistic approach to their health and actually saying, okay, well, now I got this time. Let me go get in the gym or let me go do a walk. Let me get my 10,000 steps in. From that aspect, I'm not saying AI was going to provide better opportunities for people to get better health care. No, I'm saying people are going to try to take their own health into their hands, well, like they should be doing already because the structure is providing. Like you said, you pay good money to get private insurance that's very accessible to you.
Mhm.
But for those who don't, they won't. So they're going to lean more towards a more holistic approach and start reading more about things that we were doing as far as medicine wise before the pharmaceutical companies became a major thing. So I was saying people are going to more go back more into a holistic approach with, I mean, you see it right now with herbs and stuff like that, but it's going to get more
What you say?
advanced. You know what I'm saying? Persons like, all right, well, I ain't got to go get no shot. I can go take this herb, make a tea, and it's specifically for me because it's not going to apply for everybody because you have to still learn your blood type, what your body's allergic to, things like that. So I think it's going to give people that time allotted is going to give a lot of people enough time to learn themselves and to learn about themselves on how to keep themselves healthy because I can't afford to go to the doctor. So I need to learn how to stay healthy to avoid have to come up with money to go to the doctor because I know what's provided to me is not going to be worth anything. So that's where I'm coming from with that. It's going to
Yeah,
force
no,
us.
I just force. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Because when you initially said it, you said it like people are gonna have the time on their hands to do it. They're not doing it because they got the time on their hands. They doing it because they can't afford to get the health care that they need. They're not doing it because they have extra time on their hands, right? Like realistically, the reason why they really doing it is because they won't be able to afford what they need anymore. Like that's the real reason why. Like it's not just because like, oh, I have time on my hands. It's just like, oh, hey, all of a sudden I can't afford to, you feel me, I can't afford to buy medicine for my kids. All of a sudden I can't afford to buy medicine for myself, so now I gotta figure out how to get it done. So I think that's where I was getting confused because you said it's like because they have more time. Well, no, it's like because they won't have the money, that they won't be able to go out and make the money that they used to make. So like they won't, they will be forced to, which you just said there, which makes more sense than like them just having the extra time, right? Like
Yeah,
it won't be because of that. It'll be because like, oh hey, all of a sudden you don't have a job. All of a
more
sudden
time.
it's hard to, well, I mean, yeah, more time, but when you say more time, that means like they have a choice or they have a say in the matter, but they don't,
I
right? It's
mean,
not just
technically they
because.
do. And when I say technically they do is when I say more time is you can, yeah, you don't work. Yeah, you were forced to do this, but you still have the option of just sitting back and say, all right, the hell with it. I mean, whatever's going to happen to me is God's will and leave it at that. Or you say, okay, I got this extra time on my hand, not by choice, but I have this extra time on my hand nonetheless. Let me learn something. Not everybody's going to think like that, but for the most part, some people will think, hey, let me learn this. Let me learn something. And I think that's why I said from a more holistic approach of things of like you said, hey, I'm forced to learn this. And because I have time on my hands and more time on my hands, it's going to allow me to learn about it for those who already have that itch to learn about it, but don't have that time because they're clocking into their 9 to 5 and they're not disciplined enough to say, okay, well, yeah, I got off at 5 o'clock. Let me dedicate an hour or 30 minutes to learning about this. So that's what I'm saying when they say they have more time. Like when we was sit down for COVID, we had a bunch of people realize how creative they was because guess what? They had more time on their hands. That's all I'm saying is that approach. to medicine.
I think just kind of like COVID was that thing to sit people down. So when AI and the robots start coming into these big institutions, and like you said, people are gonna be forced to be creative, or they're just gonna suffer the consequences of CBDCs and whatever however they decide to program their money and what you can spend it on, what you can do. That's what it's gonna be, because just like I was talking about with Fort Worth being one of the biggest cities or one of the first cities in the U.S. to start mining Bitcoin. Mayor of Fort Worth is only 41 years old. So when we think about mayors of these big major cities, we think about 60, 70, 80 years old. Now these mayors of these cities are getting younger, and they're having a different advanced ideology, I would say, how they want things to go, whether that's AI, whether that's quantum computers, whether that's crypto mining. The Texas Stock Exchange is coming down the pipeline for next year. So I mean, I don't think that it's not gonna be a four-day work week. I'm not saying that it's like gonna be very soon, but I think it's gonna eventually come down the pipeline, and then eventually a lot of people, they're gonna lose jobs because they're just not gonna be needed. So it's gonna force people to be creative. It's gonna force people to venture outside of themselves and do things
Figure it
differently.
out, right? Or they gonna get their ass stuck in the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg gonna be ready to
Facts.
plug you in with them goggles and say, "Here you go, buddy. Can work for Facebook in the metaverse."
Ready Player One.
Right,
Own nothing and be happy.
right. That's their whole underlining purpose of that. That's the end goal. You will own nothing and you will be happy. The powers that be. That's for people who want to go down the rabbit hole. Just take you a few carrots with you on your way.
Okay. This next thing we're gonna do, I think you were saying, we want to show the people how they can trade crypto using support and resistance. So that's
Yeah.
kind of like the most simplest way to trade. That's not the only way to trade. So I'm gonna pull up this Bitcoin chart here. Trading is subjective. There's many different ways to trade. Some people use indicators. Some people use candlesticks. Some people use whatever they use. It's so many different ways to look at. But if we look at this Bitcoin chart here, so I took everything off. I really don't use indicators. I just use moving averages, but I just took them off so we can look at this plain and clear. So this is the Bitcoin chart on the 1 hour time frame. So these lines that I have, these are kind of like support and resistance areas. If you don't know what support and resistance is, basically, that's what a lot of people call it. It's just basically SNR, right? So SNR, right? Support and resistance. Or you can look at it as a floor, right? Floor here. This would be a support area, obviously, but before this became support, there was resistance at this level. So it's kind of like the market is resisting this price point, right? We don't want to go, we don't want to go, we don't want to go. Then we finally break, right? If we go back here, it also was support here, right? It was resistance, we broke, came back down. So basically, it's just a floor and a ceiling, right? So we shot up here, bouncing off support, bouncing off support. This is resisting this area right here. We break this support, come to another support area down here, which was supported over here as well. So we support. So it's just basically floor and ceilings, right? The market moves in waves up and down, right? And a lot of these areas of support and resistance is kind of like telling you where the market might react, as far as we might see a sell-off here. Let's see, we go to this area, we see sell-offs right there, selling. Or we might see this, that. Or let's see another example. So how we were supporting right here, it's like we might see buying pressure right here, and we see the market bought from this area. Oh my goodness, it kept moving, right? Sorry guys, my computer is just on some other shit, right? So that's the basic, just the support and resistance. It's nothing too confusing. Use these areas as points of reference to buy or sell based off the past history of the market, looking at the chart. So that's pretty much it for support and resistance. There's really nothing to it. That's just some like basic chart work for people who want to start to learn how to read charts. There's many different ways you can read charts. Like I said, it's subjective. Many people use different indicators, etc. What I was just doing is basically called naked charting, where you have no indicators and you're just basically going off of the formation of the candles. So it's different candlesticks formations, different patterns. You can go look these things up, and yeah, that's support and resistance. If anybody didn't know.
Yeah, so and just to kind of tap in on that, so basically, so support and resistance, like he was mentioning, it's basically a psychological level when you're looking at the charts that you would expect the whatever asset you're looking at to either, like he mentioned, bounce off or whatever. So it's basically kind of like market psychology. Everybody's looking at the supports and resistances. Everybody who trades knows supports and resistances. So if everybody who trades sees this one, we'll see Bitcoin, and we see that Bitcoin every time it gets to 130, it drops down. Then everybody knows that that's a resistance for Bitcoin, and you can see that by like looking at the chart. Um, so typically, like when you're doing support and resistance, it depends on what time frame you're looking at. So you typically would want to start off on a bigger time frame. So you typically would want to start off on like week, a monthly chart, and that's where you would want to get your big supports and resistances built. Those are the ones that you would want to know, like, okay, this is a major level. The smaller the time frame, the least likely that support or resistance that you have marked up is going to hold. So like, yeah, like, definitely, I would like advise, like, get on YouTube and like definitely look into support and resistance. And you really just kind of gotta practice marking up a chart. You got to practice figuring out where the supports and resistances are. It takes a little bit of time. You'll put one on, it won't stick there. Then like, okay, cool. Like maybe that's not the support. Maybe that's not the resistance. And then, kind of just over time, you'll start to figure out, where it is. But a good place to mark up, where I usually mark up my charts to do that, I use trading. Well, I used to use Trading View. I don't really know if there's something better now because I haven't marked up a chart in like a year.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's what I was just using Trading View. So that's kind of
Okay.
like what I do all my charting for whatever assets that I'm looking at.
It's like an industry standard basically now. Everybody pulls up Trading View.
Yeah, Trading View's been a thing since. Trading View been a thing since forever, man. I mean, since I started messing around and trading, Trading View was what people I ain't been on this website in forever, bro. But yeah, what you should do, let me pull mine up, bro. Because I'm going to actually go through and, like, 'cause you should mark one up. You could, like, show the process of just how you would mark it up.
That's what you finna show us? Come out of retirement.
If I still got it.
It's like riding a bike. You don't forget
Oh,
how to do it.
Yeah, nah. Support and resistance, that one's, we could do that, right? Like, that one's,
yeah, that's the basics, man.
yeah.
That's
You
simple.
never, yeah, that's something like you just said, right? Riding a bike, bro. Once you learn that once, you don't really ever forget that. I don't even know if I can get into my,
Wipe the dust off.
nah, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we talking about something else, I will be tripping. I don't remember none of my little strategies, but support and resistance, we got that out. We got that on live. I'm gonna have to reset. I'm gonna have to reset my account. I'm gonna have to do all of this.
It's a
That's
reason. That
crazy.
means you're gonna need it later on.
Yeah, no, honestly though, I'm actually curious to get back into my account because there was a lot of different trades and stuff that I saved.
Yeah,
Because you know how you could look at different people's trades and stuff. So I'm just really curious to see some of the crypto. I'm really curious to see some of the crypto token ones to see if there's somebody who had some good call outs on some crypto tokens. That way I can kind of like see what their future ones are. So, anyways, it's probably about time I need to log back in here, anyways.
got you. Why you doing that, Jay? Have you bought any Sui yet, bro?
He ain't gonna
No.
let you, he gonna let you live,
Nah, I
dog.
haven't bought any. I haven't bought any. I still have yet to rebalance my portfolio because see, I got a portfolio and then my fiance has a portfolio, so I kind of like had to guide her on some things.
Hey, baby, let me
It's
see
just
your
been,
let me
it's
see your
just
phone right quick.
I just been procrastinating, man. I ain't gonna even lie. I've been kind of procrastinating, been dabbing in some other things. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely. It's kind of like you said. I'm doing other things to make some extra money, of course, in my job. Like I'm trying to not sell any assets or rebalance. That way, I can keep some of my holdings. Like you said, you never know, certain coins might just fly, and then you're like, oh damn, well I had a big bag of this, and it just I don't have it anymore.
Right.
So that's kind of like the route that I'm going. But then at the same time, I don't want to spread myself too thin. So that's kind of like I want to get into Sui, but then at the same time I don't want to rebalance and take away from my main holdings. But it's still some tokens and coins that I have that aren't necessarily in my top 5 or 6 that I can allocate towards Sui. So that's what I'm looking at doing, man.
I got you.
But when I buy, you will be the first one to know for sure. Like man, hey, look, I got that bag. Got that bag, man.
Y'all can see my screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So typically, so kind of like I was mentioning, the first thing I did was just zoom out. This is the month. So typically, you would just want to zoom. My mouse is tripping, but you would want to just zoom out pretty far. And I typically look at support and resistance as a zone. So I don't really look at it as one specific number. I look at it as a zone of whenever something gets into the zone of support or resistance, you could typically expect it to do what's called consolidation. It's either going to bounce off of that area or get inside that area. And if it gets inside that area, then maybe it could do something that's called consolidation, which basically consolidation is just where it's kind of going up and down within one set range. But the areas that on the monthly, the areas on the monthly that I don't even remember what the shapes are in this, bro. This is crazy. Yo, Jay, how you draw?
Maybe look at the weekly because you probably need a little more data for those support and resistance. Hit the where the paintbrush is. You should have rectangle
Bet. Okay.
at the bottom. Yeah, there you go.
Jeez, it's been that long, brother. You see what my mouse doing, bro? Look at that. I need to buy a new mouse. I'm gonna do that this week. So basically, if I'd wanted, you can do lines, but basically, for example, right, I would say that this area. Well, let's just narrow it down. Actually, let's not do the box. Let's not be complicated about this. Let's just keep this simple. So basically, I'm looking at this area right here where it touches at the bottom, and this area where it ranged up here, bounce down. This area also where it hit up here, bounce down. That's basically going to be besides like anything down here, that's going to be the lowest support of Bitcoin right here, right? This is the lowest support of Bitcoin. So support's basically going to be the bottom number. That's what your support is. That's going to be the lower number that's going to bounce off the chart, or what you're basically expecting to hold up a number that you're expecting your trade to stop at if it is going down. That's what your support is. So that's a number that you would hope to. So like basically, if I'm viewing the support of Bitcoin, if Bitcoin suddenly drops, I would expect Bitcoin to stop at 16,000 because that is the lowest support for Bitcoin. So that's what a support is. It's a number that you would expect a trader asset to stop at if it is going down. Resistance is just the exact opposite of that. A resistance is the number that you would expect something to, if it is on a trend up, to bounce down at. So really, if we're looking at the big resistances for Bitcoin, right, it's same way, like you could do a line or you could do an area or whatever. I'm just doing this as, crude example. You could go into smaller time frames and do the lines. Yo, my mouse is really going crazy right now, bro. But it's this kind of area right here, because you can see, and this is the like 70 whatever mark, because boom, it hit up here, bounces down, hit up here, bounces down, hit up here, bounces down. So the way you look at support and resistance is, let's say Bitcoin does drop under here, then I would expect when Bitcoin gets up in this area that it's basically going to slow down. That's kind of how you look at support and resistance. And then of course, like this is on the weekly time frame. You don't really trade for the most part on a weekly time frame. You would either want to go to like the daily or something smaller. And like now when you're here, this is where you can just start to do like lines, right? Because like now I have like my big zones established. So now I'm gonna basically like put together some of my lines, and when you're putting together lines for the support and resistance, you just want to try to find an area that has multiple confirmations. I probably need to go even. Well, if I was gonna be on the day, I guess I would probably put one right there because I basically see it touches here, drops, comes up here, boom, hits that. So like that's a strong area. There's four confirmations. So basically, when you're putting together supports and resistances, the more confirmations that you can get, the stronger the support or resistance number is, or the area is. So you're trying to find an area that has the most confirmations, the most touches, or the most bounces, and that's basically where you want to start when you're looking historically at a chart. And then also like if Bitcoin goes under the support, then that support turns into a resistance. It's not just the support. That support does turn into a resistance if it goes under that number. And then on the daily, this would probably be the other place that I would put one. I see that confirmation here, see that confirmation here, here, and here. I guess you can count that one right there too. And then you could just kind of keep going down your time frame, marking your chart up, right? Like I could put one in this sort of area right here. So yeah, and then also in terms of supports and resistances, hey, how do I stop sharing my screen? Do I gotta go back to the
It
internet
should
to?
be at the
Oh,
bottom.
I see it. Stop sharing. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then also like one last thing with support and resistances, besides like where you confirm it, there's also just big psychological numbers that are just support and resistances. So for example, Bitcoin, when it hit 100K, everybody who trades knows that Bitcoin is going to retrace at 100K, just period, point blank, right? Like that's just a big psychological number. Anytime, so like I would expect, like, let's say Ethereum hits 5K or 10K. Like some of these big numbers are numbers that you would expect something to get a small bounce back. And that's there because those are typically numbers where people will put options, or people, that's where like the trading community or retail traders have placed calls. The majority of people have a large volume of calls or puts on an asset. So when like a large majority of somebody has calls or puts on an asset, they're basically expecting it to either go up or go down. And I don't want to get, this is getting like super advanced, but basically
Yeah,
just
yeah.
know, yeah, we ain't trying to get too super
Right.
advanced, but just know like big numbers, like so if Ethereum's at 4,000, when Ethereum gets to 5,000, then we would expect it to have maybe like a 5 to 10% pullback. So when Bitcoin got to 100,000, you saw that Bitcoin shot up. So typically what happened is it'll shoot up past that number, and then it would get that bounce back down. It's called a retracement. So yeah, you could really kind of dive into support and resistance. I think that's all a part of what? Technical analysis? I don't know. Is that fundamental?
Technical, yeah,
Yeah,
technical.
that's all a part of it's all a part of what's called technical analysis, which is just a way, it's two ways that you can, it's two ways, two philosophies that you can trade under, which is technical analysis and fundamental analysis. Technical analysis uses price action, which is basically looking at the charts and analyzing the charts. Fundamental analysis is when you have the psychology of believing news, economic events, and things like that. That's what your trading methodology is built off of. So, some people, typically you lean one way or another. It's honestly better to kind of combine a little bit of both. You got to know what's going on in the fundamental stuff, and you have to be able to, bare minimum, just look at a chart and kind of know where you could expect something to drop. So,
Yes, sir. Yeah, you was right about that, man. Bitcoin 100K pushed up to about 103, and then it had like a 11, almost 12% pullback, and now we back at no, we're actually at 10.
yo, the thing that I was thinking about when Bitcoin broke 100 is like, the thing that's so crazy about it is mentally, when it's above 100, it just looks like it's moving so slow now because there's an extra
Right,
zero.
right,
Like it's really messing with my head, bro. Like I'm looking at it, like it's like when it first broke 100, I was like, why do these numbers look like they're going so slow? But it's really going so fast because it went from 101 to 103 like that. But like there's an extra zero now, bro. So like I don't. It was just crazy to
Crazy.
yeah, it was just crazy to see it happen, and it was just kind of messing with my head as I watch it move because it's like you know what I'm saying? I'm used to looking at it less, one digit less in the number. So like now when it moves, I'm looking in like the wrong digit to see another number go up. So it's just kind of weird.
yeah. Um, I guess before we end, it's something I wanted to show y'all. I guess I can kind of show here real quick on the screen about these liquidity pools to kind of
Yes,
give you
sir.
an idea real quick.
We gonna dedicate a whole episode to you for that, brother.
Okay.
You ain't doing no end of the episode liquidity pool. That's a full you doing a full
Full
episode run through
breakdown, huh?
from beginning to end, bro.
I got you. I got you. All right, well, I'll show y'all when we end this
Yeah,
episode.
give us a teaser. Nah, go ahead. Go ahead. Get the folks a teaser, bro. Give
All
them a
right,
teaser.
let me see. So right. So these are all the liquidity pools that I'm in right now, right? And you see these crazy APRs, right? My first goal is to get to $3 a day. And then after that, it goes from that, and you can kind of do weekly. So, you know what I'm saying?
Can't even look at this, boy. This
Ugh.
shit's stupid.
Right, right,
This is
Crazy, bro.
stupid, bro.
right. So I'm only imagine what $1,000 will look like, because the guy that I'm watching, right? This guy, he made like $1 million doing this, right? And he demonstrates it. He got a whole community and everything, right? This guy is putting up just from like three of these pools, dude, banking like 15,000 daily, bro. Like it's crazy, and he puts a lot of it in his cold wallet or whatever. He's sitting like on $500,000 just in his cold wallet, just from running liquidity pools, man. And all you're doing is being just like the bank by providing liquidity to these people who want to trade in and out of these tokens. And the fees that if you were to trade and the little fee bubbles that come on your screen, people who are providing liquidity get a part of those fees. And basically, let me see, they tell you how much their total loan of value in these different pools, the weekly rewards, like, bro, it's crazy. Like, look at they're paying people $1.5 million
So
in
what are
fees.
they paying out in USDC?
You can change. This is the thing I like about this platform. So you can actually change it when you harvest your tokens, because it's paying out in Arrow. All these are in Arrow. You can use different chains. I'm on base chain because they're the only ones that got ETH for cheap real quick as far as gas fees. But when you go to harvest, they have an option on here. You get to choose which tokens you want to harvest in. So say you have a small bag of, Bitcoin, right? And you're doing about $1,000 a day, right? You can harvest your earnings and build your bag up that way instead of just waiting to get more capital from traditional sense or selling some of your tokens or whatever. And even if
Right,
you sit on a nice healthy bag, you can head over to Aave, right? Put basically deposit either ETH or your wrapped Bitcoin on there to earn maybe 2% interest on it, right? You can borrow a portion of it, put the liquidity back into these liquidity pools, earn the fees, take a portion of that, pay back that loan, take another portion, build up your bull run bag, and then the other percentage you can do what you want to do with it. So I'm mad that I didn't get into this earlier. I used to dabble in it, but that's before I learned about impairment loss. Using a base token, it was something where every couple hours, it would rebase itself, and if it was under a certain percentage, the value would double. But of course, like all good things, come to an end, and the project didn't hold up.
Mm.
But for this here, liquidity pool has been around since crypto has basically been around, and this is true DeFi, man. This is once you get the money, This is what you want to do with the money so it can keep adding to your money so you ain't got to touch your other, if that makes sense.
Facts.
So what's the risk associated with liquidity pools?
Honestly, impairment loss, man. Impairment loss, I'm sorry. Which is basically, say if one of these were out of range, like you're not earning anything. And because the fees are so low, the loss behind it is mitigated, really. The only way you lose money into this is if you don't check it at all, man. And or if the market tanks and you don't rebalance. It's real hard to lose money in it unless you're just jumping from pool to pool. If you set tighter range, like the APRs are going to be high, as you can tell, like 7,000 some percent. But you're going to get out of range out of it faster. So you're not going to be earning as much. You'll be earning a lot, but it won't be as long. And the game is to basically have these pools in range as long as possible to get these daily earnings, these weekly earnings, and things like that. That's the name of the game. So these numbers are always going to fluctuate based off of the market sentiments in there for the most part. Yeah, man, this is definitely a game changer for sure.
894%. Come on.
Crazy.
Crazy.
And one thing especially
For
with
real,
we
bro.
be trading, bro, that traders are going to trade 24/7. So you're always
Yeah, they
making
gonna
money
they gonna be putting money
24/7.
in that money.
Right.
So
So
Okay,
right.
I get what it is. So basically, you just have to find a liquidity pool where somebody is pulling liquidity out of it. That's where the risk comes in. Is if you pick a liquidity pool or platform that nobody is actually trading off of, or nobody is pulling liquidity from, then you won't actually get paid off of it,
Right,
right?
right, because ain't that much trading volume going on. You want to find liquidity pools that have more volume, so that means more people are swapping from, say, ETH to
so
USDC.
that particular liquidity pool, was it like SUI or like SUI
No,
network or
no, this is all from Ethereum on Base. They have some on Sui,
okay.
but with this platform, it's an aggregator, so it just basically put all the data together and make it easier for you to kind of hop in and out of liquidity pools. But this is mainly for ETH on the Base network because Aerodrome, or whatever, right now is
And
Base's AMA right now. So, and like I said, you can choose when you get ready to harvest your rewards, what token you want to put it in. So yeah, bro, like this is definitely a game changer. If I had this last bull run,
What?
I don't even
hey
think I'll
man,
be
look,
on this podcast, man.
I think, man, with the way Bitcoin looking, Ethereum is it's bound to hit 10K.
Of course.
You
I think
know,
so
so there's
too.
gonna be so much money flowing through there from now until the end.
Right. Definitely. I think we're gonna see
Yeah.
a pullback for Christmas because people gonna be trying to cash out for Christmas presents. And then they might be gearing back up come tax season. We might see another dip. And I think as once we get past March and we start Q2, I think we're gonna really see it rip up, especially for summertime, especially when Wall Street starts to get involved for real, for real. Like so you can only imagine how much people are gonna be trading in and out of these pairs. So that's just more money in the pockets. Like I said, my goal is to for total deposits to get at least 1,000 in here. Right now, I'm playing along with this to see how much. But as you can see, the return so far, you know what I'm saying? Like in a month's time, month and a half, I've been on got my initial $118 back. Better than what the bank give me. I can say that much.
Nah, facts.
That's crazy, bro. Yeah, I'm about to take like 500 worth of Bitcoin and throw it in there. And all I'm gonna say is, if after 1 month we got some money, it about to
Right,
be some motion in my wallet, brother.
right.
It about to be some major motion in my wallet, brother. We about to be LP farming, dog.
Bro, I'm telling you, this is very lucrative, man. Now, as time moved on, they made it so much easier now. And with all these other blockchains coming out, like I know Base is going to make sure they bring in on more people because, like I said, the ETH fees on here are dirt cheap right now, and I think ETH is just going to be one of those things for institutions. I think that was the whole plan overall. since they don't have they got an infinite supply of tokens, and the gas fees are atrocious. So I think a lot of these layer twos are using ETH to kind of help other retail investors kind of pivot over here. So definitely gonna take advantage of these liquidity pools, man. Like I said, they got these on Base, they got some on Uniswap, they got some on Solana, Sui, and I think Optimism and Polygon. But Base right now, like I said, because it's easy for me to trans. As soon as I buy tokens on Coinbase, I move it over to my Coinbase DeFi wallet. This is all in a DeFi wallet or whatever, and it helps me manage it. So when tax time come, I'll have a basically a paper trail because they're finna start, I guess, cracking down more on the taxes for crypto, and I just want to have all my stuff in order because it ain't like I'm trying to evade taxes, but also too it helps
Hey
you
man, shout
record the
out to Trump.
loss.
ISO 222,
Man,
man.
right,
You feel me?
They're not trying to. Well, I was just looking at the cryptos. It's not that bad, bro. The taxes on it is not that bad. It's like shouldn't be more than, well, I say that, but all tax is bad. It's gonna be, should be around 20-ish
yeah,
percent, I think. But if you but depending on what happens with that tax law he trying to put in,
right,
all you got to do is move it to like XRP, XLM, or
right,
whatever
right.
Cardano was that is, and then just cash out, and you won't get taxed
Well, actually,
the way it's going.
but the way that they have it in place right now, unless he make a change to that, because any type of if you trade from one token to another token, it's taxable by default.
That's a taxable. Yeah,
Yeah, event.
facts.
So
That's the
that's
crazy
where,
part.
right. So even if you convert it over to Bitcoin or any of these tokens that are said protected, you still it's still a taxable event. So that's where I was telling you about borrowing your against your assets to get money, and then you can pivot into those other tokens. That way you keep your taxes down. But like I said, I have yet to meet a CPA who can really dive into crypto for real. I know around this time, everybody on my Facebook talking about follow me, follow me. I'm probably gonna start some shit Monday. Like, hey, which one of these people on my timeline that's a CPA know how to do crypto taxes?
Ain't gonna be none for real,
Right,
bro. You're gonna have
right,
to.
right. And that's going to push the envelope to, hey, y'all need to learn this because me and my buddies, we gonna have some bread for real, for real. And if you really trying to get money for real, then you need to step up your game. It's like iron sharpen iron. I know half these people don't know nothing about crypto, man. But it's like you better learn or you're gonna get behind. Like we telling people in the last episode, if you in real estate, you better learn how to navigate the blockchain when it comes to these transactions because that's gonna be your bread and butter.
No, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I do think if you're trying to, let me tell my shoe, if you're trying to get into, if you are just getting into taxes, a real easy way to get a niche client base, because everybody can do regular
Right, right.
taxes. I mean, to be honest with you, like if you can just do regular taxes, I mean, people can go on TurboTax and do that. Like you have to figure out what you can do that's specialized, and basically same thing as you said, bro. Like I've searched in depth to try to find, because a couple years, like a year and a half ago or about a year ago, I was like getting pretty serious in a house search, and like I was gonna cash out my Bitcoin, some of it, to buy a house. Like I got approved for my FHA and everything, so I just was trying to find a CPA at that time who could help me try to avoid who could help me try to put together a plan to help me avoid capital tax gain when I was going to go and withdraw some of my crypto.
Right.
And honestly, bro, I couldn't really find anybody that specialized. Well, I found one person that specialized in crypto, and I think he was trying to charge me like he's trying to charge me just like $600 to put together a plan for my capital tax for my
Yeah.
basically to avoid capital tax. All right, brother.
Right.
So, anyways, I do think that that's a very niche market that most regular CPAs or tax whatever advisors don't know anything about, and there's going to very quickly be a ton of young people who are looking for another young person or a tax advisor who is branded as a cryptocurrency tax advisor, because that's what you Google. That's what I Googled. I Googled cryptocurrency tax advisors or tax advisors who specialize in cryptocurrency. And almost no tax advisors have their brand labeled that
Right.
way as somebody who specializes in it. There might be some people who know a little bit about it, But if you specialize in it, it's going to be a real easy way to pick up a good young clientele who's just now getting into this period where they're going to be coming into a lot of money. And those are the clients that you want to have, because going forward, it's going to build you kind of like that foundational book of business that you need to,
Right. And it's
make
gonna
some
be
money.
lucrative.
I think a lot of these big tax companies is waiting for policy to come down the pipeline so they can get the best end of it. It's like you said, well, if I'm not proficient in crypto or crypto and taxes or whatever, I could say, well, I know X, Y, and Z. Just like you said, a guy tried to charge you $600. Like, you could charge whatever you want. If it's just like, okay, well, a lot of people don't understand. What am I gonna do when I get ready to cash out my crypto? Like, oh, hey, come over here, pay this amount, and we can take care of you. But I think it's just a policy thing. A
Makes
lot of people
sense.
waiting for that. So
For those who are watching that are CPAs, hey, we already told real estate agents what they need to do. Here go your call to action, so you better get on it or get left behind, because we buying yachts in a couple years. So that's all I'm saying.
yeah,
Hey, look, man, they're going to be on your neck if you don't buy a yacht, bro.
We're gonna start a social club
hey man,
with a yacht as the icon.
five years. Hey, Charles, where's your yacht, bro?
Hey, over there in Switzerland.
Yes, sir.